And we're live.
We should
Hello,
just leave it
everyone.
running. Hi.
We actually have no viewers yet, so we'll wait until we do.
That's really sad.
It's kind of bleak, isn't it? Wow, it's exciting.
I'm watching. I'm your biggest fan.
Okay, well that's creepy. That's okay. We can just
We'll watch the group chat to make sure no one's saying anything inappropriate.
There's a group chat.
Yes. So on the upper left of your Hangouts window, there's a little like text bubble thing.
Oh yeah. We should keep that open. Just to. Hi everyone who's not here but maybe watching this afterwards.
Yeah.
Yes. Hello.
It's very exciting. So this is Q&A part 2.
Yes. There was a part 1. You weren't there.
No. So
But there was a part 1.
You were there in the background.
I was there in the background. I was manning the chat.
True.
Were you?
So,
I think weren't you sick then?
Yeah. It was. I was very excited, and then it just didn't work because I was sick all day. So.
It's sad. Anyway,
It
no
was
one is
sad.
sick now. I mean, not sick unusual anyway.
No, I'm not
So,
sick, and now I'm here, which is very
that's good stuff.
exciting.
Yes.
Still no one.
I'm checking to see if we're live. We are live.
We are live.
Huzzah. Okay. Well, we have 3 viewers now. Yay, 3 viewers.
That's probably just us. That's probably just our account.
I was starting to feel like when we had to pick teams at in elementary school for
Yeah.
kickball. I was like, oh, no one loves
And it was like
that.
everybody else, and it's yeah.
Everyone but him.
Did
Yeah,
that
I
happen
know
to you
that.
too?
Oh, that definitely happened to me.
Mm.
They would
If
basically
it didn't, we
negotiate
would
like,
be
well,
playing
I
with
would-
fountain pens every day.
Yeah.
True. True.
We'd probably be hanging out with our friends watching sports. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right.
We all have
Alright,
our tea.
We've got a group of people here, so let me forget. I'm running the camera. Welcome everyone to our Q&A with me, Matt Armstrong from ThePenHabit, and we've got StephenBrown and Azizah Asgharali from GourmetPens and SbRe.
Just
Strike
in
that,
case.
reverse it, just in case you weren't
Just
sure.
in case. I don't know.
So
I'm actually Azizah.
yeah,
Like a gourmet pens kind of gal.
Growing out my beard.
Oh.
yeah.
Anyway,
All right.
moving on.
So we have a bunch of questions. There's also on the YouTube link that I posted on my Twitter feeds a live chat. So please feel free to join in on the chat. We should be able to see it here. Actually, I don't think we can see it here. I'm going to have to open it up in a separate window, methinks. Give me just a second to do that so I can see what's going on over there.
Yeah, all right.
Sounds good.
And then I can serve as moderator. This is good television right here.
It's good.
Wow,
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of clicking.
Sorry, that was just us.
Are you watching yourself on YouTube?
I am watching myself on YouTube. This is
Okay.
madness.
Good television right here. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So now I'm going to mute myself so I don't hear myself about 5 seconds later. Okay. So now
If you say something intelligent,
that's probably not going to happen. This is me we're talking about after all. Okay. So let's see where the live chat is. It disappeared. There we
Oh
go.
wow,
Okay.
that is really cool. I did not even know this existed.
Which is this that we didn't know existed?
I didn't know there was a live chat thing.
Oh yeah, over on
It's
YouTube.
really cool.
So we've got Michelle and Paul and William and Fielding and GourmetPens and Andy and TJ and Fielding. Okay, so yeah, it looks like
All right.
looks like
Okay,
we can dive
I
in.
have the chat open, but I cannot respond and do this at the same time. So I'm just going to follow along as well. Okay, so hi everybody in the chat. It's super exciting that people are actually here.
and we're very happy that Steph is here because when Steph's in the room, everything lights up. So that's always a good idea.
Or just goes into insanity,
Why not both?
which is not a bad thing. So.
Shall we get into some questions?
Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea. So we had a bunch of questions submitted. We also had some leftover questions from the last Q&A that we did that we may get to at some point today. So, but if you're over in the chat, you can ask questions and I'll try to interject them when I can. So Stephen
You can
Marcus
just
in
raise your
Sweden
hand if
says
there's a
hello.
question.
Yes. So
That's cute.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
okay.
Why don't you start with the first one from your...
Okay, so the first one I have is, we get these questions a lot, but we'll ask it again. We've got Here's the question. What are each of your favorite fountain pen, paper, and inks? So I will go first. Favorite fountain pen, and I have it here somewhere so I can show you because it is my new happy pen of happiness.
Oh, that was a good idea.
Is this lovely monster here. This is the Classic Pens LB5.
That's the one you're going to give to me, right?
In your dreams, sister.
Yeah. Oh,
in
maybe.
So this is the Midorigi or Midorigi, I don't know how it's pronounced, which means new green trees version of the pen. There is also a purple amethyst version that is
yes.
that is as Paul from Canada put it, rare as hen's teeth. And I just coincidentally happened to find one yesterday at from Bertram's Inkwell. So I emailed Bert and said, hey, is your website actually right? You have one of these in stock and it's really well priced? And he goes, why, as a matter of fact, yes, it is. And I said, sold. So the purple one will be coming as soon as I get back from, I'm going on a trip tomorrow. So when I get back, it should be waiting for me in my P.O. box.
Oh, man. I wouldn't even be able to leave. I would just be like hanging around the P.O. box.
Yeah.
I very seriously considered having him ship it to my hotel in Ohio.
Yeah, yeah.
But in the end, decided that probably wasn't the best idea, just in case it didn't get there in time.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, man. That's
Let's see. Inks. Well, paper's easy. Tomoe River, period.
I agree on
gotta
that.
say.
So that's my answer too.
And then ink, clearly, by looking at the wall behind me, answering that question will be impossible. I'll give you probably 3 favorite inks. Mont Blanc Irish Green is like one of my favorite inks at the moment. Mont Blanc Dandy Turquoise is one I just adore, but I'm afraid to use because I'm afraid if I use it, it'll go away and never come back again.
But it will. It will go away.
Oh, yeah, it will, because I've only got 2 bottles of it. And
only 2? What kind of hoarding is that? That's terrible.
Well, I'm running out of space, clearly. Yeah, I can get rid of the Muppets. And then I'd say probably right now, if I was to do a 3rd favorite ink, it would be Mont Blanc Lavender Purple. And I just realized all 3 of my favorite inks are Mont Blanc inks right now. So that's kind of a surprise to me.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
Okay, so those are my 3. What about you guys?
How about you?
Okay, paper, Tomoe River as well. I love the crinkle, and I just love how fantastic it is. He does not like it because he thinks it's crinkly and stuff. But my favorite pen, which I did not think ahead of time to bring with me, even though I could see the case from here, it is probably my Namiki Yukari. It is one of the Nightline with the moonlight finish. So it's Raden, I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Quick interjection. Hello to GourmetPens for joining in, and Prozon and Parsa. Awesome. So hello to the new join-ins. So
very exciting. It's just it's a smaller pen, but it's very beautiful. I should grab it.
Why don't you grab it?
Why don't you talk about your favorites while I grab it?
Paper for me is difficult. I am rather torn, but I would say that Rhodia is a very good all day paper. Although I use all kinds of paper, but if I had to pick one, I would probably go with that.
You're not really insane about inks though, so I think that.
Why did Azizah show her your pen? Show you her pen?
This light does not capture it, but
that's still kind of gorgeous.
It's glittery, and
maybe we can focus. I don't know.
I really like it because it's just really pretty, and it's a nice size for me. It's really comfortable, and it's just really nice. I mean, it's fountain pens, right? I could also just use a preppy, but this is way more fun.
What about ink?
So
way
more fun. For ink, I'm gonna have to say Mont Blanc Irish Green, Mont Blanc Toffee Brown, definitely Dandy Turquoise, which I have a small hoard of, but also Sailor Apricot and Sailor Sky High, which are, of course, half of those are not available anymore. So.
Yeah, I have a bottle of Sailor Apricot, and I almost never use it. Like, it almost never gets inked, and I don't know why, because I love the color. No, is the Trying to tell me something there, Azizah?
Oh no, you can just send it along with your LB5.
Oh, let me add one additional ink that I didn't mention that is in my favorites. It's Caran d'Ache Colors of the Earth Grand Canyon, which is
the Grand Canyon.
Gorgeous brown color. There's not another brown on the market like it that I've found anywhere. I've got 3 bottles of it, but it is also discontinued.
Yeah.
So sadness.
It's so upsetting.
I'm tired of them discontinuing the inks.
I'm tired of falling in love with things and then they get rid of them.
Let's see. We had a quick. Paul asked, "Is abalone shell the source of the sparkles on your pen?"
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Source of the sparkles. I like how I like how that's written. Yeah. That's it's very accurate. Yes.
Okay. What about you, Stephen?
Well, I find it very difficult to pick a favorite pen, but I recently picked up this. This is a Visconti. I don't know. It is a Visconti 25th anniversary thing. I don't know if you can see that there's a 25 on the finial there.
Oh, yeah.
There are 25 of these, and this is urushi lacquered. So you can see how shiny it is if I move it around like this. This is so dark. It is like like the inside of a coffin on a moonless night, and that makes it very interesting. They came in yellow gold, rose gold, and silver finishes. This is the rose gold. I find it more of a bronze, but I really like it. It's just a fraction smaller than Opera Master size, making it very pleasant. Power filler, big ink capacity, and a broad nib. It is palladium, but it is extremely well tuned out of the box. Very wet, very pleasant writer, and I would definitely pick that. At least at this point. And as an ink, sbrebrown is a really nice brown, but I actually am not so arrogant as to call that my favorite ink.
Also, we only have 1 bottle.
Yeah, we even have a whole bottle. So
and I didn't order a bottle, but someone just sent me one a couple of days ago.
Awesome.
It just showed up out of the middle of nowhere. Thank you.
Awesome.
That's the one person who bought the bottle. But in any case, I really agree with what's being said. It sounds, I know if it sounds very snobby that we all pick Mont Blanc inks, but I have found them to be very, very well behaved. And also the toffee brown, great shading, Irish green, great shading. So I would probably,
also they have sheens.
Yeah, they're just really well behaved.
Nice bottles that are stackable,
and
packable.
Yeah,
I see a nice stack behind you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I've got the. Let's see where they're here. And then you can't see them very well because they're up on. Oh, I guess you can. There's the 5 here as well. So those are the limited.
Oh yeah. And
then those are the regular production line
They're
inks.
really nice. And even the special ones, the Leonardo is really cool.
That's a great ink.
Yeah.
Although I will tell you, you probably haven't tried it yet, but the new Franklin Christoph Terra Firma is almost a dead ringer for Leonardo, which has been discontinued.
That's great because I really like that color.
Yeah, it's very, very close.
Also, I like Franklin Christoph. So
yeah, Paul, I agree. The limited edition inks are so frustrating because it seems like they're the best colors.
Yeah, and I'm sure they do that on purpose.
Best colors. So it's like, Mont Blanc, stop it.
Yeah, stop it.
Stop it.
Do you hear
Bad
us?
Mont Blanc.
Bad, yeah.
Shall we do a question?
Yeah.
You have the questions?
Yeah, but I don't think my order is the same, so maybe
well, it doesn't matter.
Matt can
we just pick one.
Carry on. Grail Pens.
Yeah, Matt, why don't you just do the next one?
Okay.
Why don't you pick the next one?
So yeah, I'm not doing them in order. I'm cherry picking.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Tristan asked the same thing. What are your Grail pens you know you're never going to get? So he goes on to say, a beautiful pen, but crazy expensive or so very rare you couldn't possibly ever find one in working order, or it's too fragile to the touch, or whatever. So why don't you guys start with that, since you probably have more Grail pens than I do.
Yeah,
well, I've actually gotten pretty good at not falling for pens that I can't afford, or not willing to sell pens that. Wait, that doesn't make sense. If I really like a pen, I usually just sell off a bunch of other pens to fund it. But at this point,
I have to say that's one of the nice things about, because I added up my first 2 years worth of expenses.
Always a bad idea.
Pens. Terrible idea. And I was like, oh, that's where my retirement fund went.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the nice thing is, now that I've done that, every time I see a new pen I want, like the purple Classic Pens LB5, I end up going back and just selling off other ones so I can buy that.
Yeah.
So now it's just like a perpetual cycle instead of continuing to pour all of my money into fountain pens. So
Yeah, but I think that
No, that works well.
That
And
works.
pens, I mean, they retain some value. Clearly, you will not get back,
yeah,
dollar
the more
for
so you
dollar
find out what you fall in love with.
Yeah,
You know what
exactly.
you can't
So
part with.
it's a good way to do it.
Yeah. So
Anyway, what about your Grail pens?
well, for me, I really, really would like a Mont Blanc Hemingway, but they're not. I mean, I have seen some around, but I'm not willing to pay that much, or I'm not able to pay that much. Both willing or able. So, and it's mostly that I like the model and I like the color, but I don't know. I'm pretty happy with what I have. I mean, look at that, the Yukari.
Yeah.
It's hard to not like that and, look at other things.
That is a pretty gorgeous pen.
Yeah, so
I have a couple of, it's interesting. I'm in a weird place right now in my pen collecting hobby. I'm not really all that interested in acquiring a lot more pens personally. I'm picking up a lot of pens for review purposes, but I'm not picking up a lot of pens that I'm like, I need to own this pen. For a couple reasons. One, the price point of pens that I'm interested in has really kind of gone off the deep end. So I'm just not willing to spend that kind of money. But also, I will say that overall, I'm a little... I had this kind of epiphany a couple of weeks ago. I spent like 2 hours on a website looking at pens. I think it was eBay or something like that, looking at vintage pens. And as I was sitting there, I realized I haven't actually written a letter or written in my journal for 2 weeks. So instead of worrying about acquiring more pens, I'm really right now focusing on using what I've got. That being said, so I would love to get... I don't have any true wet noodle vintage flex pens. I'm not great with flex writing, but I'd like to get better. I'd like to get a Waterman's Ideal number 7 with a pink or brown nib in it.
Oh, yeah.
Those are hard to find, and like $1,500 can be if you find a good one in good condition. I've got the number 7 with the red nib, which is like a medium flex nib, which I love, but I would love to try some wet noodle stuff.
Oh, definitely.
But,
I can't argue with that one.
Yeah, and I did order the new Wall Eversharp Deco Band with the number 8 Superflex nib, and so that's one I'm going to be fun. It'll be fun to play around with, and then the other one that I would really like to look at is I think it's the Mont Blanc Leo Tolstoy. Is that the one with the hammered metal around the outside? So I think that one to me looks... I love the look of that. I find most Mont Blanc pens to be kind of... Before we get to you, Stephen, we had a quick question from Andy on the chat. He said, what are good ways for people who have got computer-based jobs to have opportunities to use their pens? So
that's a good one.
I don't know if you do a lot of computer-based work at your job, Stephen. I know I certainly do, but what are your thoughts?
I do a lot of computer-based work, but I do find myself using pens on a daily basis at work. And the reason is I do write a lot. I keep notes of a lot of things that I do. Say, for example, writing in a lab journal, or just taking notes of something that I'm reading. But even sometimes it happens that I have to program something, and sometimes I just need to think out what an algorithm would look like. And I really prefer doing that on paper, where I can just quickly scribble and point and underline, etc. things. Than doing it on a computer screen. So I would definitely say that I spend, well, add it all up, an hour and a half writing a day. So that, yeah, I think there are opportunities. I was even once, a person once sent me an email explaining that he now does, he had a name for that and I forgot, but he just writes out his emails by hand, then scans them and then sends them to people.
Steph just said the ink runs down the screen too much.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It doesn't work that well. Well, actually, at some point, this may be just an extremely short but fun anecdote. At some point, a colleague and I had to mark MRI scans, and I actually used Noodler's blue arrays with a Preppy to draw on my screen and then wipe it out again to indicate where specific areas were. So actually, Steph, it does happen. Don't worry.
So I work in the tech industry. So I work on in software and web development. I'm a program manager, so I don't actually do the coding because I'm not that smart. I tell other people what to do. But
That's more fun.
Yeah, it gets better money anyway.
Yeah.
So I use pens every day as well. I keep a notebook at my desk. It's a Rhodia notebook, and I actually journal everything I do. I also keep my to-do list on paper because I find I get it done. It's so much more satisfying to check off a box on a paper to-do list than it is to check off a box in a task list on a computer screen. And if you go to a lot of meetings, fountain pens will save your life because you can play with your pens during the meeting instead of paying attention, but it looks like you're paying attention.
Like you're thinking really hard.
Yeah, unlike when people bring their laptops to meetings and spend the whole time doing other things, it looks like you're paying attention, but you don't have to. So that's, and then, because you've done some design work, haven't you, Azizah, as well? Am I remembering that correctly, or am I confusing you with someone else? Okay,
my own designs, but not.
Okay.
No, I wish. I wish.
Yeah.
But I mean, and for me, I don't have well, actually, no, it's not true. All of my income is computer based, but I mean, for like personally, I write letters, but I also like for my blog, I draft all my blog posts by hand. So if I'm reviewing a pen, of course, I draft the whole review with that pen, and you get a good experience with it. But I also do long test runs with pens, and sometimes I just this sounds really lame, but I go through my Learn Dutch in 3 months book and just write words. I have not yet learned Dutch in 3 months, but it's no, but I mean, it is a way to get to use your pens and your inks and also do something efficient for me anyway.
Paul writes, my constant writing of the quick brown fox with my pens gives me away at meetings.
Good. That's always good.
Oh, you got to switch it up a little bit, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the Grail Pens question then, Stephen. What?
Well, a while ago, I acquired a, don't have it right here, but I acquired a Tobacco Opera Master, which is a pen that I have been eyeing pretty much since 2011, and I only got in 2015, and for me that was a Grail pen, because I've been wanting to get it so long, but it was a limited edition, I couldn't find it anywhere, but that's something I already obtained. Now, if I were to talk about a pen that I would like to, in theory, own, then in theory, I wouldn't mind owning a Mont Blanc Leonardo, but that's I think even the regular edition is over 3,000 euros, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. And I don't know why that pen appeals to me so much, but I see it in stores occasionally, and it's very odd with a little cog wheel on the clip. It's a bit steampunkish with a lot of, I think it just looks cool. It doesn't even look like the most comfortable pen to use, but for some reason, it just appeals to me, which is very odd. So that might be a Grail pen that I'm probably not going to own, but that I just like looking at.
You would just take it apart. Ooh, little cogwheel.
And then just flash to the air. And it's, you know.
Parsa asks, Stephen, how many Opera Masters do you own?
Well, I have.
I'm not sure that's a question that should be answered.
Well, there's the clear one, the tobacco one, the crimson tide, the honey cream.
Wow, the honey cream is mine. So you can not count that, maybe, so that people don't judge you.
5?
Yeah, maybe 5.
I think 5. And there was a black gear one. I didn't like that one so much, so that one's being sold. It's too many. Oh, and then there's the Rushi one I showed you. So.
But I don't. Yeah.
That's not officially a master, so it's just a master.
This is not a question that is safe to answer.
It's quite a lot.
And then Steph asked, what's your Grail vintage pen? Mine would be the Waterman Ideal 7 with the pink nib, as I mentioned. I also would like to get the largest possible duofold with in like, I don't really care what color. I like the silver. I have a blue duofold, but it's smaller, and with the flexiest, wet noodliest nib you can find, because I love the vintage flex nibs. So
it's all about wet noodles, honestly.
You just want to say wet noodles.
I would also really like to get a hold of a flexible music nib. I don't have any of those. So, and I have, Azizah has some nib porn up on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, those are fantastic.
Her Waterman 94 that you know, fill me with impure thoughts. So
yeah. For the nib.
For a vintage pen.
Yes, for the nib. Let's be clear. We don't need to start any more rumors about tension between the three of us.
There is that, and Steph probably knows which one I'm talking about. So Steph, help me out here because I forgot. I think there is this huge Waterman
the
that's
20S.
really big. The 20S.
Isn't that it?
I really don't.
Oh
know.
No, that's the Prohibition
really
flask
big.
one,
It's
right?
really it's huge.
Yeah.
And I once saw one and I nearly bought one at a pen show, but the guy said, no, don't buy it. It's a fake. I just happen to have it. I should not be saying I just have it here. But it's really big. It's enormous.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a colossal.
Here's the Parker Jewel Fold, and I think that pen is something like this. It's colossal and really thick. And I don't know what it is, but anyway, that I would like. I mean, it's extremely expensive because it's so big. But I just find it fun because it's like
Is
a
it the
small
safety
baseball
pen?
bat. That's I mean, I don't even know what
That's what Steph's
it's
suggestion
possible.
was.
It's a safety.
Yeah.
I honestly don't even know. So you see how
He's not
ill-versed
really a
I am.
vintage guy.
But yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, we like vintage because we have
Yeah, I know.
good taste and stuff.
I remember making I'm so fancy. I like vintage.
I like vintage, but if you give me the choice, I'm almost always going to go modern. I love modern pens, especially modern Italian pens.
Yeah.
Along those
Good
lines,
stuff.
TJ asked, have you had the chance to use Montegrappa pens and your thoughts on them? I've only used a couple. I did not. My biggest complaint with Montegrappa pens is that they use metal sections with metal threads, and their threads are big, chunky threads generally. So they, I hold my pens really, I can show you here, but I don't hold my pens down here when I write. I hold them up here. And so I'm almost always on the threads of my pens, and their pens are very uncomfortable for me to hold. Nibs tend to run very narrow and very dry out of the box for me. That's been my experience. I think they've got gorgeous materials. Some of their pens are a little redonkulous. I mean, they're almost, in some cases, literally cartoony. The superhero pens or the dollar sign pens, that sort of thing. So what about you guys?
My experience was I can only say I've used one Montegrappa. I'm pretty sure I've only used one, so I should be a little careful generalizing. However, it's interesting that you said that the nibs run fine and dry, because that was exactly my idea. I used the Espressione, and
that's
that
the one I
was,
tried too. That's one of the ones.
It's nice. It's nice looking. It has the octagon or hexagon or whatever it was, sort of bolt-shaped thing. There was nothing wrong with the looks. But
beautiful material too.
Yeah, it's great. It was a deep blue, but the nib was supposed to be medium and wrote like a fine, and it was very dry. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't used them.
I would like to try more of them. There's some of them. The ones that I'm interested in are really, really expensive, and because I haven't had like choir from the heavens experiences with any of the middle tier Montegrappa pens, which there really are no low end Montegrappas. I'm a little hesitant to spend that kind of money on the high end pens. I'd really want to try them a lot first before I bought them, which is one of the reasons why I really haven't at this point. So
yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have a question?
Where one thing I should explain as Azizah is pulling up the questions. If we look kind of odd, we're not looking like this because we're bored. But my laptop is right there. I'm looking at it right now, and our webcam is right there because it's on a tripod. So it's not like we're bored and sort of drifting like this. It's just so that the mice running around here. It's not the case, but it's just
And I'm using the webcam on my laptop is right in front of me, but I'm looking at the questions on my iPad over here to the left. So.
And actually we're doing this once in a while. No, it's actually here.
Well, an interesting one about pen meets and stuff. Are any of us active in local pen meets or gatherings? Well, and do they happen frequently? Do we actively participate? What happens? Well, I mean, we can quite easily summarize that. We don't really have local pen meets. And I think that's pretty much it.
However, we do have friends who
We do have
like
friends.
fountain pens.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, I didn't say we have friends. Of course, we have friends, but we also have friends
Well,
who
I don't
like
know about
fountain
you,
pens.
but no.
Well, that's true. But in any case, these people, we either go there for dinner, or they come here for dinner. We meet them, or we meet them in town at a Starbucks or something.
So it's not official pen
It's not
meets.
official, but we bring some pens. They bring some pens. We play around. We do some
We covet
stuff.
each other's pens. We touch each other's pens.
So I mean, it may not be formalized, but I do think that you could spending time with people who like pens as a pen meet. If it's more than if you touch it more
Actually,
than once, it's
one
penning,
of our friends I was pen pals with before I moved here, which is hilarious. And then we met up at the pen show.
last year in
So
Tilburg,
yeah,
and they turned out to live a street
and
up
they
there,
literally
so-
live like 2 minutes away from us, which is so funny. So
Yeah, so that's a pen meet. What about you?
So first of all, I don't have any friends, so meeting friends and talking about pens is not really an option. Not any real life friends anyway. I don't like people. There is a Seattle pen club, but it's about an hour and 15-minute drive to get there, and it's the third Saturday of every month. So I've been once. I keep meaning to go, but Saturdays, my weekends are so precious to me, and I'm usually so far behind on getting pen blog videos ready that I just don't have time. I think now that I don't have to mow my lawn every Saturday like I do during the summer.
you could just throw bleach on it during the summer.
Well, this summer it was a drought, so
there you go.
I didn't have to mow that much, but even still, it's a little far for a pen meet for me.
It's a bit of a drive.
I've been thinking of starting a South Seattle pen club because I know there are several folks within a 30-minute radius of where I live that would meet up. And I did go to the Pelican Hub when that happened last month in Seattle, which was fun. But I don't get a chance to talk with a lot of people about pens outside of Periscope and Hangouts and emails and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter
Sounds
and
like a lot of
Instagram.
pens, actually.
So I get to be real honest, I don't want to talk about pens any more than I already do. I get burned out real fast, and so after spending all day long on YouTube or answering comments or emails or stuff, sometimes I just want to go home and play a video game and not think about pens anymore. So
I think that's fairly valid.
I think it makes sense, and this is not at all supposed to be some type of negative comment, but I think not everyone realizes how much time goes into doing fountain pen reviews, because it's not just an 11-minute review is not 11 minutes of work. It is an hour, more hours of work to shoot it, edit it, prepare for it.
Yeah, well, you get penned out.
Exactly. So I do understand what you're saying. The good news is, though, that Stephen said that he will be a friend. So you have a friend, man.
Thanks, Steph.
That's a pretty awesome friend. So
yeah, and I spend, if you count just prepping a video and recording it and editing it and writing the blog post, it's between 10 and 15 hours worth of work to do one 15 to 20-minute video.
Yeah.
And and maybe at the end here I'll do a quick tour of the I'll turn my laptop around and show you the room I'm in. But getting everything set up, I've got 3 cameras, lighting, sound, getting all that set up, recording, copying the file. It takes a ton.
You are a patient man, because that is a lot of work.
Well, this is what happens when you don't have a life or friends. You stay at home and do things.
Look, I don't have a life or friends really either, and I'm not that patient.
No, but I think but what I mean, first of all, of course, we're not complaining because we like doing this. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. So no one should now think, oh my God, they're gonna kill themselves because they can't handle it. No, we can handle it. We do it because we like it. But yeah, there's time involved, and I do think what this pays back in your case, because your videos have an extremely high production value, are very well produced, are very well lit, sound is great, everything's great. So the result is also very impressive. So I can see how I don't spend 15 hours on one review, but it also doesn't look like I spent.
You also do 4 times more videos than I do. So,
yeah, that's
you put them out and you don't stop, because like I took a 4 or 5 month break. So
I'm like a machine.
It's just different methods, different styles, so it's all good.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, that's cool.
The variety is good.
Yeah, that's good. It's nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we have another question? Do you want to do another question, Matt?
Sure. Another one from Tristan. Stephen, you've already got this covered, but for Azizah and I, if we could create an ink color, what would it be? So Azizah, what would your ink color be?
Well, that's tough. The ink color I think I would create is already created, and that is probably Yamabudo, the Pilot Iroshizuku.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too pink. I mean, I know my blog is pink, but I also know that realistically most people don't want to use pink ink all the time.
Speaking of pink ink, I have a bottle of Caran d'Ache Colors of the Earth Sunset that I should send to you because I will never ever.
You could just send it along with that LB5. I'll give it a good home, you know.
And I'll send you her music knit.
Yeah.
That's a thank you.
No, I didn't agree to this. No, but that's probably the color I would do. I mean,
I turn on an extra light here.
I'm not as interesting as Stephen is or you are to have my own ink, but I mean, I'm more like blog based, but I think, oh, I thought I had turned that on. Oh my God, I'm just really, really stupid. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah. I think I would, again, look at the wall behind me. I've got almost every variety. I mean, there's not a lot new in ink these days. So for me, it wouldn't be like, let's come up with a tiny, slightly different shade of another color that's out there. I can find almost any shade in any color with any property I want because there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of inks. Yeah, so for me, it would be recreating the one ink I cannot get even close to, and that would be Caran d'Ache Grand Canyon. I just have never found another ink that's even close to the way that ink writes, the way it looks, the way it shades, the color of brown. It's almost a gray brown.
Interesting.
Instead of, you know, a lot of browns tend to, excuse me, I've been drinking a lot of tea, tends to be a little reddish or orangish or even green. In the case of the toffee brown, has a little bit of green in it. This is like gray brown, and I've never seen anything quite like it before.
I've not used that one. I know the place where has it, so I'm gonna grab a bottle. And,
well, if they have more than one bottle, grab me a couple extra, and I will make you ship them to me. Because
all right, look at that. See, look, it's like a pen meat.
Exactly.
Sort of, anyway.
Ashish asked, do you guys feel sad for the pens you don't use as much as you use others? I feel bad for some of the others. I feel kind of bad for for some of the others. So yes, a little bit. I don't anthropomorphize my pens too much, but I will tell you that once I like this pen, for instance, is an Omas Noti di Bologna in, they say blue and orange. It's black, but I don't know why they call it blue. I love this pen. One of the best nibs on any of my pens. I mean, it is slicker than butter on glass. I never use this pen. I love it. I just never use it. And so when I get to that point, it's like, it's time to let the pen go to a home. This is another one. This Conway Stewart 50, I think, what is this? The 24, Conway Stewart 24 from the 50s. Green hatch, gorgeous material. The smoothest oblique broad nib I have ever used. Just a gorgeous pen. And I never ink it because it's a little too small. Trying to think. Here's another one, the Krone Continuum Atmosphere, which is just another gorgeous pen. That's writes really well. I just don't ink it up. It's not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just there's other pens I happen to like a little more.
Yeah.
So anyway, what about you guys? I mean, I know you guys, especially between the two of you.
I have something like that too.
Yeah, I know between the two of you, you guys have got like 10 times more pens than I do.
No, really. I don't feel sad for my pens because I don't really attach emotions to them in that I don't name them, which I actually think answers another question. So I don't nickname them or anything. But to me, I try to think of it in a completely relatively practical point of view, because I understand I could just use one pen and that's it. But I've also moved a lot, so I've had to like downsize a lot, and I keep thinking to myself, okay, look, if something happened and I had to get out, what pens would I grab? And the pens that I'm not madly in love with, I don't feel sorry for, but I'm like, they're going somewhere else. Either I'll give them away, or I'll sell them if they're, you know, extremely valuable or something. But yeah, I don't feel sad for them. I just think that someone else can give them a better home.
I agree. I think Azizah and I are down to what, 40 pens or maybe 50 pens.
I think about 50.
Do I actually have more pens than you guys?
I think that's
You
very
definitely
possible.
at this point might, yeah.
And the reason is
Your face is priceless.
no.
I don't know.
but
It could
yes.
be excitement too.
No,
Right?
it is exciting. You know, the thing is, I used to, I think about 2 years ago, I was approaching 300 pens, and I know there are people who have way more pens, so that's not even that special. But someone came along, and I won't mention who.
Yeah, but now everyone's gonna think I made you sell them all.
No. So let me explain this. Azizah did not at all make me sell them all, make me do anything, but she asked a very relevant question, which is, Stephen, if you don't use these pens, why do you have them? And there is only one answer to that.
You're also not a collector, so it's not like you collect them.
No,
for
it's
the
not
purpose
like
of a
it's a
collection.
Parker 51 in every color. That's a collection. That makes sense. But if it's just a random Chinese pen here and the Visconti there and the Delta, I mean, if you don't use them, I completely agree with Azizah, then you should sell them or give them away or do anything with, because it doesn't make sense to hoard pens that you
Unless
don't
you're
use.
a collector, or
Yeah, and that's
or
fine.
you have a very specific
I'm not
pen.
I'm not telling any people what they
No,
should
no,
do,
no,
but
but I'm
in
just,
my case,
you know,
that
for
was a
us.
very liberating feeling, because now I have, you know, I have a 4-pen pouch that goes to work every day, and there are a few pens in there that are always in there.
Someone says I'm right.
Yeah,
Yay!
there you go. And then there is maybe one pen that rotates a bit, and that's it. And I'm very happy with that. I don't really need. There were so many pens that I had, and that I just never used.
Yeah.
Get rid of them.
Yeah, well, you know, it's interesting. Someone asked me, going back to the spending so much money, I look at my pen collection as a savings account, not as an investment account. I do want to clarify that, but as a savings account, because a lot of these pens are not going. They'll lose a little bit of value, but they're not going to lose very much value, especially because I am really, really, really careful with my pens. I'm not hard on them at all. So if worst comes to worst and I need to liquidate my pens to fix a hole in my roof or something like that, there will be a few I keep and the rest will go. I'll be sad about it, but it's not the end of the world. And if worst comes to worst, I can always get them back. Right. So yes, do I have an emergency fund? Both physical, the physical emergency fund, and the you know, the bank account emergency fund. So yeah,
well, I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea, because you get to enjoy the physical fund, and then
Dante Del Vecchio from Visconti said in the Periscope he did with GourmetPens, I used to have a collection. Now I don't. I have them all.
Yeah, that's nice.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
I wouldn't mind being that either.
Andy asked, are there any pens you have where you love the style and looks but can't stand to write with? This is how I feel about my Faber-Castell Ambition. I'm trying to think. Any that I have that I can't stand to write with?
I do agree on the Ambition. It's so cute, and
it's a beautiful pen with a great nib.
But they're really not comfortable.
But that solid cylinder, that's the solid cylindrical thing. For me, it's Andy, it's the size. Small pens. There are a lot of small pens I love the look of. I just can't use because they don't fit my hand. So a perfect example is, I don't know if you've ever seen these, the Delta Vintage. Oh, wait, gotta make me the broadcaster here. The Delta Vintage, gorgeous material, wonderful nib, just a beautiful pen. I can't use it. It's too small. Same thing with the Conway Stewarts. You know, a lot of these vintage pens. I have a little. Where is that? Here it is. I've got pens all over the place in here because I'm recording a bunch of videos. This cute little Waterman 52.5V.
Oh, I love it.
It's got a
cute.
Beautiful semi-flex nib in it. It's in wonderful condition. A viewer, Chris, sent that to me a while back, and it's just a great pen. I just can't use it. Which
that's really sad, though.
Yeah, I know. What about you guys?
Yeah, for me, it's the same thing. For me, it's the same thing. Size. I like.
Is size an issue for you?
Yeah.
Size
I couldn't pass that up, right? Yeah.
Size. It does matter. And the thing is, I do like a lot of vintage pens too. But I agree with you. A lot of them I can't use because they're so small. I just can't use them, even though they have the greatest, most superior flex nibs on them you could possibly find. It's not working, and it's sad but true.
Well, and it's interesting because, you know, someone contacted me and said, I think you're being a little ridiculous about pen size, because you can learn. I mean, everyone wrote with pens back then, and I can't imagine that 50 years ago our hands were smaller. It's and you can train yourself to write with that. And I'm like, yeah, I could, but
I don't want to.
Yeah, but you don't have to, though.
Why should
if
I?
there are pens available that
it's
fit
a
you.
preference thing. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can write with them. Do I like to? Not as much. So I have to show you this pen because this just came in the mail yesterday. So I wanted to do a little size comparison. Waterman 52.5V.
Oh, yeah.
and just size.
You can just put that in the barrel there, pretty much.
Here's the Mont Blanc 149.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
wow.
Yeah, this is a baseball bat. Anyway,
That's,
I just that was kind of fun. That came.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one.
Much larger than I was expecting it.
What was that again? What was that again?
I think it was a Gamma.
Yeah,
Pens.
colossal pens.
Yeah, they make really, really big. I mean, it's really nice olive ebonite, which I really like quite a bit. I haven't even inked it up yet. It's probably going to be toward the end of the season. So, oh yeah, you've got the what is that?
The Speakeasy Visconti Speakeasy versus a Parker Jewel full Centennial.
It's also a baseball bat.
Yeah, it's also.
Well, that's the one that's the flask.
Yeah, exactly. So that's bad enough in itself.
That's another way you can use your pens at work.
Yeah,
there
exactly.
You go.
Exactly. In meetings.
It's like, oh, I'm using this pen a lot today.
No, it's just an energy drink.
Yeah.
Don't mind me.
I don't really have that problem that pens are too small. I mean, unless it's like a micro pen, but those are not really.
What you should do just for fun to illustrate the point is just hold this pen.
Yeah, I mean, but even large pens, even if they're large, I find a way to use them for what works for me. So I get a nib on them that is suitable for the amount of writing I can do with it, if that makes sense.
That's the actual set of the mission.
And I guess I'm lucky in that regard to not have that issue. I mean, my hands are not really that giant. So most pens work for me unless it's like a really, really absurd pen.
Well, what can you not use? Because I don't think I've ever seen you hold a pen and then you said, oh, I can't use that.
No, and the nice thing is that you don't have to post it. So, you know, it works out nicely.
You can pretty much use it because to a dinky unposted. So,
yes, this is true. So.
Steph asked, what are your thoughts on cross pens? So I've got I used my first cross pen this just a couple weeks ago. I got it from Gold Spot Pens for review. I got the Century 2, the blue and sterling one here. So my thought is the nib was spectacular, nice and bouncy and smooth and wet. My problem with every cross pen I've picked up, which hasn't been very many, is they are all too freaking skinny.
Yeah, they're very slender.
They seem to have just decided we're going to do skinny pens, and you know, for someone who likes I think the grip on that was 8 millimeters. It was like super narrow, and for someone who likes, you know, 10, 11, 12 millimeter grips, it was just too narrow. Great writer though, absolutely spectacular writer.
What was the one we had with the ice, the Apogee? Is that the Apogee?
The Apogee.
The Apogee is a little bigger, I think.
I think they're very attractive. They make really nice finishes.
Yeah, that one.
Very, very sleek and pretty. But I've had mixed experiences with the nibs. Some were dry, needed tuning, and other ones were fantastic. I've used the Century 2 as well, just the black one, and the nib was really great on it. And a couple others I have used with the Apogee was dry, and I think a classic Century, which is super thin. I mean, you would hate it, but the nib was also
pencil.
very dry.
It's pretty much like holding a pencil.
Yeah,
very, very thin.
Once they're tuned, they write well. But I mean, of course, it's the case with any pen. But even for me, I find them slender. It's not an issue for me, but I can see for you guys that would be an issue.
Like very smooth nibs, the ones I've used. Cross a while ago, Cross sent me a bunch to review, and the Apogee was, I think, I don't even recall which one. I also purchased a few. There's also the ATX, which I used. Very
Also very
nice
slim.
nibs, but indeed, quite a few of those nibs were very dry out of the box, but very smooth, but
Yeah.
very dry. So,
I would like to try the Townsend. That's the one I haven't tried. It's just that's I need to try it in person. That's one I want to look at a show instead of buying outright because it's
That one
pretty
feels good
expensive.
though. It has a nice weight.
it's a nice one, but that's also pretty thin.
Yeah.
So really quickly, Federico asked, can you recommend any pens around $200? So I will tell you some of my favorite pens in that range. We get questions like this a lot.
Yeah.
And it's always hard to answer because we don't know what it is you value in a pen.
Yeah.
But I will tell you pens that I almost always recommend: Platinum 3776.
Yep.
Especially the ones in the Chartres Blue is I think it's a gorgeous material.
Finish. I would pick that. Like the black is just very plain and not exciting, but the blue and even the Bourgogne is beautiful.
Yeah. So those two, anything by Pilot will be a wonderful writer. Anything by Sailor will be a wonderful writer. But if I had to pick two companies in that price range to buy from, it would be Franklin Christoph and Edison. I think those two, you're going to get wonderful pens. I like the Franklin Christoph's nibs, especially the Masuyama ground nibs. And because you can get Masuyama stubs or italic nibs, I think, their nibs are really great. But in terms of pen body, either one is really well made. So.
I agree.
Hang on, before you continue, Federico is actually looking for a double broad or roughly 1 millimeter line width in these pens. So I mean, Franklin Christoph definitely because they have the music nib.
And Edison
has 1.1, 1.5. So those would be good options.
Those are good options. Yeah. I was going to say maybe Lamy 2000. That's not for everyone, but it's a piston filler. It has a gold
those are
nib.
not double broad.
But those.
Oh no, you can get double broad.
I used to.
At least you can in Europe. You can get I believe oblique double broad. So
I have an oblique broad. They're decent pens, but they're very modern, very designy. That's not for everyone, but you will get a reliable writer. I've never seen 2000. It doesn't work.
If you're looking at an interesting one is it's a little bit over 200, but look at the Sailor nib. Get one of the Zoom nibs because you can go from fine to wide on the same nib. And I have a Zoom nib that I drop nib first on the ground and bent all the hell.
A lot, doesn't it? No.
Well, it's the same one. It's the
same one. Okay.
But I had Mike Masuyama grind it into a cursive italic, and it's one of my favorite nibs now. So, and it's about 1 millimeter in width.
Awesome.
So that's another thing is look at getting a broad or a double broad and have it ground to what you want.
That's always lovely.
Yeah, it's always good because then you're absolutely certain that your nib is going to write perfect.
Yeah,
perfectly.
Definitely.
Okay.
There's a daily carry question here.
Yes.
Do we have a set system for daily carries, and do we buy pens with that system in mind? I do not have a set system for my daily carry. I also do not buy pens with that in mind.
So I will tell you, my daily carry is whatever I'm in the mood to carry with me and have inked up at the moment. And I usually have about 20 pens inked simultaneously. So I try to keep the same. I use a Nocco 3-pen case, and I try to use the same 3 pens all week at work. Just because I want to actually empty one of them. You know, the goal is to empty at least 1 pen a week. In terms of, do I buy pens with system in mind? Not even a little bit. That's like my method of buying pens is pretty. That's basically my only criteria for buying pens at this point. So pretty and will this bankrupt me? So that's about it for me.
And the second one doesn't necessarily eliminate the pretty. So
I definitely don't buy pens with that. I have my system is basically that I carry this, and it has changed a bit for a few months, but I keep coming back to this pouch. It's an older pouch by a company called Van der Spek in the Netherlands. The only reason I say that is that otherwise a million people are going to ask us afterwards. They make 4-pen pouch that's really nice. It's all leather. It's good leather. And in there, this is not necessarily the lineup that's always in there. But right now there is a Parker Jewel fold with a stub nib. It's always fun to have the stub nib with you because it just adds a bit of character to your handwriting. If you have to write a quick note at work to someone or whatever, I think that's nice. I always try to carry something with a broad nib just because I like broad nibs. In this case, that would be the Visconti, that Marussia I've shown you earlier.
Wow, I do not put this much work into my daily carry.
No, I do. I think about it. One thing I always carry is something with a fine nib. I don't have that many fine nibs. This is an Omas Arte Italiana Paragon, the Arcocelluloid with a fine nib. This is one of the greatest fine nibs I have ever used. It's ultra smooth.
This is from a guy who does not like fine.
I know.
So you know
so
it must be good.
Yeah, this is exceptional.
You got to have something to use on crappy paper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. You have to have something. And
I
something
usually carry like my 3776, but I put like an iron gall ink in there so I can use it on crappy paper. So I try to keep something like that in there too. That's a good point.
It's always useful. And then I have a fun pen. In this case, it's the Visconti Titanic. Those limited editions, just for fun. And then in that one pen pouch, that's just a speakeasy. Just because
it doesn't fit in anything else.
Yeah, and sometimes if you want to leave an impression, you swing around a big pen and then do some impress. So
Well, it leaves an impression. All right.
Yeah. A knockout. It's one or the other.
So let me read this question. This comes from G. Christopher Lynn. When you're smoothing nibs, is Mylar paper necessary, or is the 12,000 micro mesh grit good enough for the final polish? So I will tell you what I do. I almost never use Mylar paper because I find I get kind of a squeaky quality or a singing quality if I polish with Mylar paper. I actually find I get a smoother experience if I end on the 12,000 grit micro mesh. I know a lot of people, I think the reason Mylar paper gets talked about a lot is because it is you're far less likely to over polish your nibs with that paper than you are with any of the micro meshes. But once you know what you like, and if you test it often, I usually stop at 12,000 and leave it at that. So I don't know what you guys do when you smooth your nibs.
Same thing. I have 2 sheets of Mylar paper, which I bought a long time ago from Richard Binder, and they have seen almost no use. I use 12,000 grit micro mesh a lot, both on pads and on buffing sticks. Never had issues with it.
Yeah.
And I know that probably if you are talking to a nibmeister, then I could see how they would say, no, yeah, I should also use the Mylar sheets. But for example, you talk about Mike Mazuyama. I don't think I've seen him use that. I know. So I even if, for me personally, never use it.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah.
I don't smooth my nibs. I just make him do it.
Someone else does.
Yeah, I think the thing that's different, a lot of people start with the 12,000. With me, I almost always start with 2,400 and work my way down to 12,000 because I have the set of pads or the set of kind of the rubberized fabric sheets, which I find I like more than the foam pads. Those rubberized sheets are really great and work really well. So that's normally what I do. But anyway. Well, we're getting close to the end of the hour. I mean, we can go over a little bit. There's no end range here, but Azizah, what's your favorite pen in Stephen's collection? And Stephen, the same question to you about Azizah's.
My favorite pen was the Visconti Opera Master, the clear one. It has like the blue and green swirls in it, and it had a double broad nib. And now it's in my collection, so.
Not because it was stolen, but because I gave it to her. People said, she takes all your pens. Yeah. No, she doesn't take all my pens.
Well, but you have your tobacco. So.
Yeah, exactly. I have tobacco. I'm very happy with that. In your collection, one pen that I think is very nice is the Moonlight Mont Blanc.
The Moon Pearl.
Moon Pearl. Yeah, I always forget.
Wow, it's a very solid, heavy pen.
Yeah, that's a really. It's basically 146 size pen, but with the abalone sheets on it, and it's gorgeous and it's very robust, very nice pen, and a pen that is surprisingly unisex. I think for men it's very rugged. For women it has the nice rod on it. It doesn't matter anyway, but I mean it's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we share our pens.
Yeah, we share our pens.
So. Yeah,
we just wash our hands out.
All my pens just come with a warning: do not drop this pen. That's pretty much it. So.
Okay, so I think to wrap up question-wise, this is actually a really good question to wrap up with, I think. Scott writes, how do you maintain your interest in the hobby? Have you ever asked yourself, what am I doing spending all of this money on stuff, and then think about selling everything off? The second question is from my wife, who thinks I'll wake up one day and decide it's all been fun, but it must go. So
Thanks or hopes.
how do you, how do you guys maintain your interest in the hobby?
I find it took me a few years, but I found out what I like, what I really like, and what I look for in a pen. And that makes it easy to decide for or against buying something, because you know that, well, maybe it looks very shiny in the store, but when you realistically think about it, you know it is not the right size or shape or nib type or whatever preferences you may have. And then you end up with a set of pens that you really like, that are a joy to use, that are tuned to your preference, either by yourself or in a store or by a Nibmeister, and those you use. And then whenever you use them, they're a lot of fun. And that doesn't mean you cannot buy more pens or new pens, but quite often I see new pens coming out, and I think, yeah, I know it's a nice object, but I don't want it because it's not ticking enough boxes for me. And that for me keeps things very lively, because whenever I pick a pen from my pouch, it's what I want, and then I'm automatically enthusiastic.
Hmm.
That's a good answer, isn't it?
Well, there's that. Knowing what you like and having what you like is good, because then you want to use them more, and the more you use them, the more, I think, hopefully, the more enjoyment you get out of them. Whether you're writing letters or writing your thesis, I don't know. That's torture in itself. It's fun to have some inks to pick from, because it makes, choosing a color fun, and also paper. Paper is important. And I mean, if you journal, having a variety of journals is good. But I spend a lot of time, I guess, trying to guide people who are in their newer stages, which is where I was several years ago.
GourmetPens. That's it.
Like trying to, you're throwing me off my thinking.
Oh, sorry, I'll shut up.
Like trying to help people figure out, what are they looking for, what will suit their needs and their preferences. And I mean, in a way, even that is part of, for me, maintaining my own interest in the hobby, because then when people ask me questions, I actually do research for them. So even if it's something that they can Google, I do research for them, so I can send them relevant information, like links, and to make it as easy as possible, because I want to, I want them to take over the world with fountain pens. So it's being involved in the hobby, in the community, doing stuff with the pens, having pens and nibs and inks and paper that you like. And yeah, I've had times where I thought, why do I have so many pens? And then I went through them and sold off or donated, gave away the pens that I was not crazy about. And honestly, my love for it came back with full force, because it was like, okay, I'm down to 40 pens that I'm crazy about. And that's a really, really exciting feeling. So it's like starting all over, except with crazy expensive, rare pens or whatever.
Yeah, but that could be your focus. That could be what you
pens.
like, not necessarily expensive. But I mean, yeah, at some point, Matt said that earlier too, and I agree, you may start out with a Preppy and with a Safari, and at some point, you may find out that there are expensive pens that you like. Are they overpriced? Of course, that's a whole different discussion. We all know that. But you may find that your specific taste in pens is the super $500 pens. Yeah, that's possible. And yes, they will be expensive, but those will be the pens that you absolutely love. And then it's just it's very easy to be enthusiastic.
We can justify this all we want, right?
Yeah, I'm not trying to justify it, but I mean that is a possibility.
No,
it doesn't mean that there are no.
Having pens I love is part of what keeps me interested in the hobby.
Yeah.
So that is an honest thing,
Yeah,
and of course some of them are expensive and some of them are not as expensive.
Some of them are not. We also have a lot of pens that are not expensive at all, but that
some
you
of them
also
I mess
love.
around with, but it's
What about you?
Yeah.
Well, first let me respond to vprozon in the chat. He said, do you have a pen fund, or is it more like, ooh, shiny, gotta have that? Yes, both. I do have a pen fund. That is a fairly new thing for me. It started toward the end of the second season. So all of the money I make from YouTube ads or from selling my pens or from sponsors or from, you know, my wonderful, wonderful supporters on Patreon, that all goes into a pen. It's actually an entirely separate account. So if I don't have the money in that account, I cannot buy any pens, period. That's a fairly new thing because I just barely got out of credit card debt about 2 months ago for the first time in 10 years. And so I'm not allowing myself to get back into that, which goes a long way toward how I maintain my enjoyment in the hobby, actually. I have an addictive personality, always have, and I've talked about this a lot, but when I got in hard and fast and spent. You know, I told you, I added up my first 2 years. It was almost $20,000 in spending in 2 years' time on pens. Most of it on credit cards. And, you know, that it was kind of, the acquisition thing was fun, but if the hobby is about acquisition, you will get tired of it. There's no question about it. It has to be more than acquisition. And I like what you said, Azizah, about helping people, because I find it was interesting. I went to the DC pen show. It was my first ever pen show. I'd never been to one before. And I didn't want to go. You know, I'm kind of an antisocial person. It's easy for me to sit here in my little TV studio at my house and talk about pens. Yeah. But it's hard for me to go out where there's thousands of people and be, you know, I was like, I don't want to have to be on all weekend. Yeah. But what I found was that I was so energized by being around a community that I came home and I was like, let's get these videos done. You know, I was like, because that's one of the reasons why I'm so far behind in my season, because I took that 5-month hiatus because I was like, I need a break. Yeah. And then I didn't spend any time talking, thinking, doing anything with pens, and I didn't do any of the videos. And so now I'm, you know, instead of having the whole season's worth of videos done, now it's, but anyway. So for me, it's the people connection. Yeah, using what you have, worrying less about finding the perfect whatever and enjoying what you have.
The perfect pen does not exist.
It does not exist. The perfect ink does not exist.
You know, Brown was pretty close.
Good point. Good point. And the one thing that I for me has really changed my appreciation of the hobby is that I no longer worry about whatever the new thing is.
Yeah,
I don't care. I don't have any of the Diamine Shimmertastic inks. I'm not going to buy them. They're nice. They're lovely. They're beautiful. That's fine. I've got 140 bottles of ink I already like. I don't need any more. You know, whether or not it's got glitter in it, it doesn't matter. And then that way, if I don't worry about what's new, I didn't, you know, the Emerald of Chivor, and before that it was the Stormy Gray or the Lamy Copper Orange, and I every time something new would come out, it's like I've got to have it, I've got to have it. And getting away from that mindset has totally changed my appreciation.
Yeah.
And then kind of once and for all, because I spend so much time in this hobby, taking a break is vital. You know, if I need to go away for a week and not talk about, think about, post about pens, I do. And that has helped a lot kind of across the board for me. So
that's a very good idea. One I'm still toying with.
Well, I mean, sometimes that's just what you got to do.
But I'm like, I don't have time to take a break. So it's obviously I need to take a break, right?
Yeah. So, all right. Well, someone asked a quick tour of the room. This will be a little tricky because I'm on a laptop, but I'll do a quick tour around. Let me unplug everything here so I can show you. But anyway, so let me switch back to my camera view. So this is it's a small bedroom in my house, and I'll just go. You can see it from here. So this is my studio. Back up a little bit more here. I can't see what I'm showing you. So I have 3 big softbox lights, and then there's a Sony camcorder above the desk for the down shots, and then I have this camera here for my close-ups on the shooting, and this is my Panasonic GH4 for my front camera. and then I use this. Oh, sorry, I can't see what I'm showing you here. You're probably getting all motion sick. So I use this shotgun mic to record the sound. Sound of the pen on the paper. And then I have over here is where I have like my lavalier mic and all of that kind of stuff. And then, you know, you can see my desk is a gigantic mess right now because I'm in the middle of recording a bunch of videos. So, and then I have up on the ceiling these sound absorption panels and along the walls and things like that. So it's quite the production. I also have this this microphone that I use when I'm recording audiobooks. So this is my I record audiobooks in this room as well. So it's treated for sound and it's easy. I don't have to take everything down and put it up every time. I just have to get the cameras focused and set up and all that fun stuff. So that's I am very fortunate in that I have the space to do it. That is one of the joys of living alone in a 4-bedroom house. Is that I can set aside a couple of bedrooms for doing this, and then, you know, the dog doesn't come in here and get fur over everything
or knock everything over.
I just close the door.
The panels on the wall are like toys to chew on.
Exactly.
Tear down.
Fortunately, Luke the dog is not terribly destructive. So anyway, that's the quick tour of my studio. So
awesome.
All right.
I liked it.
So I think that'll do it for this this hangout. We'll have to do this again soon.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of questions we did not get to.
Yep. Yes, lots of questions we didn't get to. Probably.
We can always just building up our list in the meantime for the next one.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone who joined us and stuck around for most of it. So thank you, and we will we'll see you all sometime in the future. So
sounds good.
have a good one.
Right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.